Hey guys, okay, so we are gonna jump into Paralives. So I did do a speed build a while ago. Um, I saw a new lot that James Turner had done, and so I wanted to give it a go. I did start building a house on this lot, but I didn't like how it was looking. So we're gonna go ahead and jump back in, and I'm gonna bulldoze it, and I'm going to build a whole new house using some new tricks that me and my friend had came up with, that we kind of figured out as I was playing. So this is the original house that I had going. Definitely not the best, but it definitely it needs work. I did really good in the kitchen though, like I focused on the first floor, but I didn't really focus on the outside that well. So I'm gonna bulldoze it. We're gonna go in with a measurement of 3 high walls. This is the best way to make a platform since there is no formal way to make a platform in this game like Sims. So what I'm doing here is I'm filling in the wall, and it creates like a separate section of the wall that you can paint individually. So they don't have any swatches where it's brick at the bottom and then a solid color at the top. So you have to kind of like make your own using the walls, and by filling in the gap like that, it gives you that layer so that you can actually go in and paint it and do like a backsplash or whatever you want to do. So I initially wanted to go with a red and white theme for the outside because that was kind of the initial idea that I was going for. I was trying to just like play around with the colors, see what would match with the area. So this is going to be a 2-story house, especially in the city. I was debating on doing a 3rd floor, but I'm like, with where the house is placed, it would put it way too tall compared to the other buildings, and I really did not want to go that route. Now, what I'm doing here at the bottom is I'm thickening the walls to make it kind of like a lip, because a lot of houses, like, they have that lip for the foundation. So by making the walls thicker, it protrudes the wall out a little bit and it makes that little lip. Now, the roof is not the best. I really don't understand the roof system. The pattern on the roof kind of spreads out really odd, so I'm not the biggest fan of the roof system, but hopefully over time that changes. Here you see me going in with some windows. I figured focus on the outside first and then work on the inside. So one thing that I love about this game is that you can adjust the stairs completely to however you want. So you can make them taller, shorter, fatter, skinnier, whatever you want to do. You can adjust the height using the toggle tool, the transform tool, whatever. And you can customize literally every little detail in this game. So here I'm just making another platform so that the stairs can sit comfortably but also have a space instead of just going straight into the door, because we're not trying to do a Harry Potter thing here. Maybe in another build, maybe I could try and do like a Harry Potter theme build. That might be something for in the future once I get more handle on how to actually build. This is just me pretty much playing around with colors and themes and all of that stuff. Trying to figure out what works best, what looks good, and what doesn't. I was trying to match up the red, but then I remembered that I can copy and paste gives you the exact color. Now, some of the items when you're painting will give you a texture option, but not everything. And I'm not the biggest fan of that. But I mean, they do have to have some type of limitations. I really hope that they do add that in though, because I think that would be a really good addition to add textures to stuff that don't originally have textures. Now maybe there is a way to do it and I just haven't figured it out. Maybe eventually I'll figure that out if there is a way, or they may add a way. So I tried to go in, and at this point I'm like, you know what? I want her to be different than the rest of the houses. So I wanted to do like a pink and black theme because the flowers really inspired me. But then as I went through, I realized that it was too much, like it was too saturated of a color. So I decided to not make it the exact color of the tulips. I figured fade it out a bit, make it a little bit darker to kind of like offset from the tulips. You see me redo a lot of stuff because I'll like have an initial idea and then I'll want to change it afterwards because I'll see another swatch and I'm like, ooh, that would be better. So here I'm going in to do like a deep pink and a gray theme. Also trying to adjust on the roof, trying to make sure that it has a good contrast to it and it's not too solid, if you know what I mean. But then at some point I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not liking this because I didn't think that the bricks sat high enough. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the entire foundation just one solid foundation and then add the bricks and go from there. Then I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to frame this out because it doesn't have any corners. Now, none of the swatches have corners built into them that I have found. So the way to add the corners is using these pillars, which I think is a really cool idea. It adds like a dimension to the walls and it makes it just overall look way better. Now here I was trying to get the placement and the height just right. I do have OCD, so the little details. One thing about this game is it really does test your OCD limits though, because not everything can be placed perfectly because the grid, I hate the grid system. The grid system changes directions and it doesn't line up with the lot. It doesn't stay in one position. So it's actually easier for you to not use the grid on some lots. Now, if it's just a normal square lot, it's fine. But on a triangle lot like this, the grid was not lining up right and stuff was not locking in. So here I am trying to line the pillar up so it's not going through the roof, and that's where I went in with the advanced tool, because with that you can do the intricate little adjustments. So I was like trying to figure out how I wanted to do it. Eventually I just made it taller and then I used the tool to just drag it down slowly and it made it fit perfectly. So I decided to just do that trick all the way around. Now with the back of the house, I didn't have to do it because it clipped into the roof perfectly. So then at this point I was just trying to figure out a decent layout for the windows. I did realize that I placed the windows way too high up after I go into the house. So that gets changed later on too. Same as the roof. The roof gets changed later on as well. You'll see me second guess a lot in here. I come up with different ideas So okay, so here I am kind of doing like an outdoor seating area. In my original house, I did have a patio like built off of the house, but in this one, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put it in the grass because I can eventually surround it with flowers and stuff. Eventually, I am going to go ahead and go in with the little teeny tiny details, but I'm gonna make it seem more grown in than to just have it all grown up in the sitting. So like she's gonna purchase flowers, she's gonna purchase stuff to add to it, and this is just kind of like a basic setup, enough to get her started, and then as we go through the game we can purchase and adjust as we go. Now I finally ended up coming inside, and I figured out that the counters actually have different cabinet placements, which I think was really cool. So as you see, I alternate the counters so that it gives more variety of the cabinets, because in a house, not all the cabinets are the exact same size. And that's one thing that I love about Paralives, is that it takes reality into account. So it's not as uniform as Sims, where you're like locked into something unless you mod it completely. And with my game, I don't have any mods. I think the only thing that I have is I added in a Studio Ghibli item pack, but other than that, when it comes to actual mods of the game, I do not have any in here. I have not messed around with those at all, surprisingly enough, because typically the first thing I do in a game is I jump to what type of mods can I do. But in this game, I wanted to play just the base game with, I saw the Studio Ghibli stuff and I'm like, okay, no, I have to have that, because if I'm going to be building a house for my own para, like currently this is just a para that I made, but when I make my own para and live a life through my para, then I do plan on getting more items that would fit my style personally. But I started off with the Studio Ghibli stuff because it's just too cute, and I think I do use some of the Studio Ghibli stuff in this one. I can't remember, honestly, but we will see. So I was trying to do like a backsplash thing, but it was taking up the whole wall. So then I'm like, okay, well, let me section this off. Because initially I wanted to just make it taller, but then I'm like, no, I only want behind the counters to have a backsplash. So I had to delete the wall. I painted it, and I'm like, wait a minute, now I have to do the other walls because I can't just have it like that. So I ended up having to redo the walls. So all that time that I spent getting the windows just right, I had to completely redo it. And it was not easy. It drove me up a wall, but I did it. I managed to power through, and at the end of the day, I got what I wanted. I got more brick at the bottom, got less paint at the top, so it actually balanced out with the house, and then I was able to do the backsplash for the kitchen. Now I did realize that I forgot to add back in the porch lights. Now in this redo, I decided to change up the windows because I liked the curved windows, but with the style of everything, I figured the rectangles would look better. So I decided to go with the rectangle windows. I also forgot to add curtains. I did forget to add curtains, but she can purchase those as we go. We can add those in later, like through the actual gameplay. Because as I said, this is just like a basic setup, just enough to get her started. But here you can see I was testing out different backsplash ideas, color ideas, which I think the backsplash came out super cute, honestly. Like, I think it was perfect to add in the backsplash. Like, it was worth all the effort that went into it. Now, I did spend a little too long on these cabinets, just trying to get them right. And I'm realizing it now that the window is not, like, the stove is not centered with the window. And rewatching this, it's driving me insane, but I'm going to overlook it. It is what it is. It is not going to be perfect. I may end up going back in and fixing it later, but of course hindsight is 20/20. Now, I had spent all this time placing those windows, but then I remembered I still have to add a bathroom to this floor. I still had to add the stairs, because I mean, she can't just magically float up to the second floor. So I'm like, shoot, I need to add a bathroom and I need to add stairs. So I had to delete some windows. The windows I spent so much time placing, but I digress. Now, the one thing that I don't like about the shower, well, the bathroom stuff in general, it's really an awkward size for everything. So it's difficult because, like, in Sims, a corner shower would be able to fit in this room perfectly fine. But in this game, a corner shower would take up the entire space. And I'm not the biggest fan of that. I mean, yes, you can shrink it down, but then it doesn't look right. So it's like some things do look good shrunken down, others don't. So I kind of makeshifted like a shower area and was able to place the toilet and sink in a way that it flows, but that the para can still get in and out and do all the stuff. Now, one thing that I do love about this game is that the stairs are customizable. As you saw, I was able to adjust the railing and put up a fence at the top without having to manually go through and place the fence. I think that's a really cool feature, and the other railing doesn't clip into the wall. So here I was trying to test out like an accent counter type thing. Like, you know how how a lot of houses have like just that random like table up against a wall just to kind of like fill in the space, and it's got like flowers, pictures, stuff like that. So that's kind of the idea that I was going for that corner. And then I figured do a pop of color in the kitchen. Here I am working on the living room, getting the gaming systems and stuff in place. I found out that you can actually put vents on the floor, on the walls and stuff, like in an actual house. Okay, so I'm adding in some plants and getting all that placed and ready to go. And then I remembered I started running out of money. I forgot that I was not working with infinite money. So I realized that a lot of the stuff I wasn't able to get. So you'll see that I do end up cheating and add in more money. But when I actually play with her, yeah, I added 50,000. When I actually do play, then I'm going to put her money at 0 and let her actually build up her money that way. Now with the bathroom wall, I don't know what happened. It would not clip straight. It would just go on an angle. So I had to click Alt and place it that way. Thankfully, it does have the numbers, so you can see if you're actually placing it on the proper angle and stuff. So I initially wanted to put the laundry room over here. So I spent all this time setting it all up. Made it look all cute. Figure put the laundry basket outside the door. They do have a lot of clutter items, but not really much for the laundry room. Like, that's the only clothes pile that they have. So I kind of had to change the colors and alternate them a bit to try and make it look more realistic. Then I remembered that I need to put the coat rack downstairs. So I was gonna try and do like a half wall type thing. So that's not like a full wall, but it would kind of like enclose it but not enclose it. So I was trying to figure out how I can get that to look right. So to try and make it look right, I added wallpaper and it was not blending for me. And I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna work. So then I decided to put the laundry not in a room, but up against the wall when you first come up the stairs. So I spent the time putting that together. And then I thought about it, I'm like, well, this opens up for like a guest room. But then I thought about it and I'm like, well, I want her to have a family. So I figured make that the kids' room. So as I was finding the wallpaper, I'm like, ooh, you know what? I'm gonna make this the kids' room. So I set it up with a crib and a toddler bed. So you can have 2 different ages of kids. Got a nice little dresser, some toys. Now this dragon lamp or this dinosaur lamp was super cute, but it was way too big. So I shrunk it down to make it fit better and added in a plushie. I kept the kids' room pretty simple because I had the idea of adding a play area for the kid. So and then I'm like, okay, now time for the clothing. So I made it kind of like a built-in hanger type system. And then I thought about it, I'm like, well, that's way too close to the stairs. I don't think that the pair is gonna have space to get up and down and function. So I decided to expand out the counter and move the laundry over. Then I'm like, okay, well, with this open space, I can have this as the play area. So I threw down just a bunch of random toys. And then I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, need a seating. I can add a TV TV so that they can watch like kids shows. But then I'm like, a parent's gotta be watching them since the stairs are right there. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna add in a couch. And so that the mom and dad can sit there and watch the kid play, watch TV while they're doing laundry. It's kind of like a multifunctional hallway, was kind of the idea that I was going for, and making it more lived in look. And then I decided to add in some lights because, of course, you can't have a house without lights. Of course, I am very smart and totally thought about that ahead of time. Now, there are these like flower mirrors that I think are like super cute, so I definitely had to use those. So that's the first floor completed, and the outside. I was making sure that I wasn't like missing anything and that everything is lining up just right. Okay, so then I went ahead and finished up with the main bedroom because, of course, need to have a place for her to sleep. I decided to do kind of like a king-sized looking bed to try and like fill in the space. Have some cute little side tables. Little laundry hamper. I was trying to find the proper place to put that. So then I just settled on putting it right there. And that is the second floor. So that's the first floor. The second floor, I was going through making sure I didn't miss anything, even though I really did miss having the curtains, and I also forgot to put in rugs. My friend had made mention of that when I was showing it to her. She's like, you forgot the rugs. I'm like, oh no. So I did add in the rugs later on. I did not get them on video, but you'll see